Today, we have an amazing guest that we know and love personally. Gosh, we fell in love with her the moment we met her. She was voted as one of Utah's 30 women to watch and winner of a Silver Stevie Award for Lifetime Achievement. Sara is a dynamic executive with over 32 years of sales and marketing experience. From small companies to billion-dollar companies, she has built high-performing teams in each of her roles. Although she loved and still loves the corporate world today, the stress and dynamics took a toll on her health over her 13-year run. She received a serious wake-up call in the form of a massive ovarian cyst. She and her doctor are convinced that some of what she experienced was stress-induced. Sara and her husband decided it was time to make a change. In 2021, Sara left her corporate career to venture out as an entrepreneur. She became a certified mental wellness coach and hormone specialist. Today, she's helped countless people journey through imbalanced hormones, perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause, not to mention the battle of the bulge that most women and men experience around middle age. She's made some major changes over the past year, getting her blood work, body composition, and diet in order, down 36 pounds and feeling 31 instead of 51. She's extremely motivated to share her story and changes with you in hopes that it will inspire you to make the shift you need in your life to feel the very same. Sara currently lives in Draper, Utah with her husband and two children. Welcome to the show, Sara BJORGAARD.
Thank you so much. It's so great to see your smiling faces and to be here today, you guys.
It is an honor.
We're excited to have you here. And I mean, just even in hearing that bio, I mean, it's like, as Corey Beth mentioned, the first time we met you, I mean, you're the type of person who draws people in, right? Because you have a dynamic personality. I mean, you're one of the most pleasant people I've ever come across. And
True.
It's amazing though, hearing again a lot about this transformation that you made. And so I think that's really where we want to go with this, right?
Yeah, well, take us back to the beginning. I mean, you started in the corporate world. What was that like, I would say, for your health and then becoming a mom?
Yeah, really good point. So I was a mom before I went into the corporate office. I had one little and was building an entrepreneurial business and then decided that I would have another baby. And so I took a corporate job 12 days before giving birth to my daughter. So crazy. I worked in the office 12 days and had a baby later that night when I left the office. And she was about 2 months old and I started traveling pretty consistently for work. I was in the network marketing space, so I was traveling all over the country, speaking and going to conventions and doing all the things. But as I am pretty driven, I kind of hit my feet on the floor in the morning and I'm pretty motivated and I'm driven to accomplish something. I couldn't sit still in my role. So I always wanted to be in management, be at the top, be in the executive boardroom. I had this weird thought process when I would walk by the boardroom. I'm like, what is going on in there? How can I be part of that strategy? That looks so cool. And so that was always my goal. And so honestly, through multiple companies, I had both kids. We moved out of state from Minnesota to Idaho to work at a corporate office, to Arizona, to Utah. That was a little stressful, but each role that I took a new position or two positions up and eventually became the president of a $1.4 billion market. So I would say during that time, it was a lot of, because I'm driven and my hobby is work, which that is not a beautiful thing, friends. Find some hobbies. But my hobby is work. And so I would work 50, 60, 70, 80 hours a week. And on Sundays when I was bored and needed to get my creativity out, I would work some more. That was kind of what I did. So that, on top of everything to do with the pandemic, because my last role in corporate America was during the pandemic, and that itself was beyond anything I'd ever experienced.
Cannot even imagine what that was like. So,
Yeah.
what then was the out for you where you said, I'm going to reclaim my business, my time, I'm going to go full entrepreneur here?
Yeah, when I was in my second to the last role, I was living in Arizona, and it was sort of a health wake-up call. I started to get sort of what I call the battle of the bulge, right? For all of the middle-aged men and women, by the way, both men and women, around that belly area or your visceral fat, started to just kind of get rounder. And I was like, okay, well, this is what you do when you're 50, or this is what you do when you're in your 40s, right? You just get a little fatter, and hopefully your husband still thinks you're hot, because I'm not feeling very hot in my bikini right now. I'm kind of shoving things in places that don't need to be and all the things. And I just let it go. I didn't really think about it. I was into a lot of holistic health, so I wasn't going to a regular practitioner. And then stress of work, whatever, I made that job change, moved to Utah, and then again was in this work role as the president of the market during the pandemic. And so that wake up call started to get bigger and bigger. And so I went from size 8, which is not bad, you guys. A size 8 is a beautiful size. For me, though, a size 8 was heavy. And so I went from a size 8 to a size 10. Then I was like, holy cats, what is happening to me? Like, this is crazy. I would cry at night thinking, I don't have clothes to wear. Something's not right. But I was still just round. I wasn't pregnant looking. So by the time I was, size 12 going into a size 14, my husband just said, something's not right. And I'm like, okay. So I saw a hormone specialist, but it was during COVID. So only waist up, right? In a Zoom. So you can imagine, you can't get into a doctor, can't do anything. Saw a hormone specialist. And she said, I think it's menopause belly. And I went, it's a belly. It's definitely a belly, friends. So I was like, okay, I'm going to get on the treadmill. I'm going to cut out my food. I started taking some medication that diabetics take to try to lower the sugar in my body. I did everything. And I lost all kinds of weight. And if I could have shown you a picture today, I should have, because I was sunken in everywhere. But what happened is my belly grew and grew. And so to speed up a long story short, I wasn't pregnant, even though everybody thought I was. I was growing an ovarian cyst that at the end was growing a size of like 1 to 2 pounds a week. So it was like a baby. And when I got finally into surgery during COVID, which was about 2 months later, it ended up being 44 pounds. So I was 48 inches around. Absolutely extra large pregnancy clothes. I didn't leave the house for 2 months because I was so embarrassed. It almost makes me so emotional talking about it. But no cancer. So it was such a beautiful day. I lost 72 pounds when I left the hospital, you guys. Insane. Just an insane thing.
Trying to even visualize, like, it must have been like the size of a watermelon. I mean, how large is that?
4 babies. 4 babies.
Wow.
So they said it's like having quadruplets. And the doctors would come in, they're like, can we touch your stomach? And I'm like, guys, it's not a butterball turkey here. I am like in some serious pain. Yeah, it was nuts. I don't think they'd ever seen anything like it. They sent it to Harvard Medical School because it was so large, just to make sure it was not cancerous. But in the end, the beautiful day about that is that it was the biggest wake up call ever, because my doctor said, I really don't think this would have grown at the rate that it did, but you were living this extra stressful life and no sleep, not taking care of yourself, no exercise, eating all the junk food in the world. It had nothing but to grow. And so she said, this is a wake up call. You need to change your occupation. And that's when I made the decision. It is time to step away from crazy corporate world and do something for myself.
Literally have chills. I mean, that is one of the biggest wake up calls I think someone could get.
No, absolutely. Now, what I would like to do for a moment though is if we can go like way back,
Yeah.
even prior to the corporate world. I mean, did fitness play a role in your life? Was healthy eating a thing for you? I mean, talk to us a little bit about your lifestyle, because I think a lot of people recognize that when they do, let's say, get out of college, they start getting a quote adult job, and they get into this routine where fitness drops off, food drops off, because we're living this stressful lifestyle. But I'm always curious, what was life like before that even happened? Was fitness part of what you were doing?
It's such a good question. When I grew up as little kids, we grew up on government housing for part of our life, right? So we ate whatever we had, not like we were super poor, but just, we were eating mac and cheese and all the, junky stuff that sometimes families feed their kids because it's quick and easy food. When I moved into college, I gained the freshman 15, just like everybody else. Ate a lot of Doritos, peanut butter sandwiches, cheeseburgers because they were 99 cents, a lot of French fries. And of course, had that weight gain then. Never really did it cross my mind that I should actually exercise. And quite frankly, I have hated exercise up until a year ago. Like, I just hated it. I hated the gym. I didn't want to go sweat. I had this illusion that you have to work out 2 hours every day, which my kids still believe, by the way, for some reason. And I was like, nobody can make me fall in love with working out. I liked to cheerlead. I liked to play volleyball. I played basketball. I did all of those things in high school. But man, when you move to college, it's over, friend. And then when you get into a full-time job, the way that I was working, there was no way for me to get up at 4 a.m. and go to the gym, or go to the gym at 9 o'clock at night when I would get home from work. And so it just went by the wayside. And even at work, you might call it intermittent fasting. I call it like, we just don't eat for many meetings, and then we eat junk food because it's what's available. So those habits did not serve me well, obviously.
Oh, I asked that because I was curious too. I mean, I think from that, what we can deduce is that you were living this really high-paced, high-stress lifestyle, and you were pointing back before about the growth of the cysts, how they had never seen anything grow like that.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting. I mean, I just think about the environment that your body was in, right? I mean, it
Yeah.
was under a lot of stress, but you also didn't have any form of stress relief, it sounds like.
That's a good point.
And it's not just about weight, right? I mean, when we talk
Yeah.
about exercise, I think one of the most underrated things, I mean, maybe not since COVID, but definitely pre-COVID, one of the most underrated aspects of exercise is the way it can help you to lower your stress levels, how it can help us to reduce our cortisol, put us in a better mental state.
Yes.
And, maybe again, there's always the maybes, but like maybe if, right, the exercise had been more of a regular part of what you're doing, maybe your stress levels would not have been as high and you would have seen that accelerated growth.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be real for a second. So after I had our babies, like I wanted to see the placenta, like touch it, or feel it, all the things. Like I love that stuff. Did you get to see your cyst?
I did. Oh my gosh. If I could bring it up while we're talking, I know that you've got viewers too, but I have a picture of it actually. It looks like an alien or a brain. It is gigantic and purple and not at all what you would think it looks like. It's horrifying actually, but it's fascinating to look at.
Did you have any other symptoms, or was it just simply your stomach was distended?
I'm sure I did, but I'm really good about just being a busybody and just driving all the time. And so, you think, oh, I have a twinge here or oh, my side hurts or something. You just kind of go on about your day. You don't really think about, gosh, this could be something serious, and nor do you want to be a hypochondriac either, right? And so I'm kind of like that. I'm always about like health and wellness. How do I do something better, be more, do something different? And I was putting all that energy into my job versus my health. But yeah, I felt not at the end, it was really, really painful. I drove myself to the emergency room. The CEO of our company offered to take me to the emergency room because I was in so much pain and my husband was out of town. And yeah, so it wasn't good. So after the cyst, what's crazy is you would think I would have had more pain because the doctor said your organs were so shoved up under your rib cage. We don't even know how you could breathe. We don't know how your kidneys even functioned. So when I would stand up after surgery, all my organs would fall out of my rib cage and I could feel them move down inside my stomach. It was the oddest, weirdest feeling. So it's bananas. It's really hard to even fathom.
When we spoke offline about the cyst, I'm thinking like a lot of women have ruptured cysts or bursting cysts or small cysts or even melon size. I mean,
Yeah.
that is amazing. Okay, so fast forward then to corporate life is done. We
Yeah.
cannot do the high stress, the no sleep, like that obviously does not work for our body. What changed for you a year ago where all of a sudden you liked, or I don't even want to put words in your mouth. I don't know if you liked exercise, but you started to exercise. What shifted?
So, I don't know for anybody out there listening today if this is you, but I would say that I was so caught up in the way that I felt and looked. I was constantly thinking about myself instead of other people when they were in my space. So my focus was, do I need to suck my stomach in? How do I look? I don't feel good in my skin. I bet my husband thinks she's cuter. I mean, I don't know where I got those stories. I'm guessing there's a lot of people out there that have those same stories about themselves. And I was quite frankly sick of myself. I was like, I have got to change the story in my head. So it was such a mindset. Quite honestly, after I had lost all that weight with the cyst, I went from about 172 pounds at 5'4" down to 119 pounds overnight, then so stick skinny that I didn't even know what to wear. But body composition was very different because I wasn't working out. So no muscle, just saggy skin and 119 pounds. But then I couldn't stop losing weight. So then it was, I'm just going to eat French fries and potatoes and I'm going to eat whatever I could do to stop losing weight, which is such a bad mindset. So I did that, but I continued to do it for about, several years. And, I would gain a pound or 2 pounds or 3 pounds at a time. Might go out to a good party for the weekend with some friends and have a couple drinks and do all the things that we all do sometimes. And eventually I got right back up to 160 pounds. And I was like, okay, I got rid of a cyst and now I have no cyst to get rid of. I just got a whole bunch of fat. And again, I was in this space of all I do is think about what other people think about me when I'm standing in front of them. And I can't even focus on making their day, serving them in a different way. So I knew I had to do something. And a girlfriend of mine said, hey, have you ever had your hormone panel pulled? And I said, well, yeah, kind of. I've been doing some bioidentical hormones, but I went in and had it pulled again. And I had my blood work done at the same time. And the biggest wake up call a year ago for me was my cholesterol was high. My A1C was high. My blood pressure, I've been on medication since my daughter was born. My visceral fat was 13 or 14 pounds of visceral fat just in my stomach area. If you don't know what visceral fat is, for those of you listening, and my thyroid was out of whack. And I thought, my goodness, like I am headed for a heart attack. And my mom had a heart attack when she was around 60. So I knew I had to make a change. And so I started with the hormone panel. And then my doctor said, look, here's the thing. I'm going to tell you to do a few things, but I need you to do one thing for me. I need you to permanently break up with food. And I went, well, it's not like I sit and eat a bag of chips every night, people. I mean, I'm eating fruits and vegetables and protein and trying to eat pretty healthy. But by then my weight had gotten so out of whack with all my hormones and everything. As most of you know, men and women, when you get into that middle age, it's really hard to lose weight with your hormones all out of balance. So she recommended several things to me. One of those being some peptide therapy on top of supplements, on top of fitness and food. So, I mean, it was really that wake up call, that moment where I decided I'm sick of myself and I don't want to think about myself anymore, and talking to my doctor and then looking at my blood work, knowing that I was headed right where my mom was about at the age of 60, and being 51, that's only 9 years away.
How much at that time was your thought process, oh, this is just a part of hormonal changes? I mean, getting older, right? Because we hear that so often from people, and you even just touched on it. I mean, we will typically say it's harder now because I'm older, right? And we do attribute that to, again, age-related changes. Totally normal.
Yeah.
But I think it's just interesting that so many people in that space now, that becomes the story. Is I'm getting older, I'm having these hormonal changes, this is hard. And so they don't necessarily take the steps that they need to take. And you had a big wake up call, so you had good reason to do it. But I think I would love to hear a little bit more about what your transformation has looked like, though, since then. I mean, now you've put these things into place. So where did we go from? Where are we now today?
Yeah, good, such good questions. And you're so right. I mean, it is where everyone's mindset is. People accept it because they don't think they have a choice and they don't know where to go for other advice. And so I'm one of those people who seek it out all the time. And I would say, as a side note, it's how I've even gotten to fall in love with you guys more, is I'm a podcast junkie. I listen to your podcast all the time. I listen to probably 25 different podcasts throughout the month, 2 a day, every day, 365 days a year. I don't miss podcasts. So I listen to a lot of health related podcasts, and that gives me some education and power. So during that doctor appointment that I had, and the drive home from that day, and making this decision that I was going to break up with food, I would say that's the first thing that I changed was food. So if you could do anything, if you could take back your own power, the first thing you can do is change your mindset and your beliefs around your food. I've been trained my whole entire life, to have the balanced diet and the way the government tells us to eat, right? It's the food pyramid and the whole 9 yards. I see you guys laughing because, and I quite frankly, a year ago, didn't believe you guys either. I was like, eat more protein, eat carnivore. What? No, that's totally opposite of what we've been trained. But then I have another friend, fitness couple, that also decided to move sort of to this carnivore lifestyle. And I'm like, what is going on? These guys look ripped and I look fat. That is what is going on over here. So when she said break up with food, she said you have to focus on high protein. And she said, 100 grams a day or more. If you could even get in your weight in protein a day, it would be a beautiful day. Now I'm thinking to myself, I've got to eat like 14 ribeyes a day. Well, it's not that bad. It's really not that bad. So she said protein. And if you can do one thing. She said, if you can't quite get to like mostly protein, then focus on the protein first on your plate before you eat anything else, so that you fill up with protein before anything. And I'm like, okay, I can probably manage that. Then I cut out all sugar. So that is a hard one for me because I was a carb and sugar-aholic. My favorite food to this day is popcorn. So it is what it is. I balanced the craving a little bit, but I really cut out sugar, which also meant that I didn't drink. Now, keep in mind, I didn't drink a ton, but I certainly like to have a glass of wine at night with my husband. And honestly, I love cold beer. I'm probably random. Most people don't love beer. It's probably the worst thing you can drink. But, you know, I'd have 2-3 drinks a week. And if I went out with friends on the weekend, it might be a few more. And so I knew that wasn't going to serve me well. And then lastly, I managed the carbs. So the carb piece of it was pretty big for me, getting away from white potatoes, white rice, popcorn, even though it's got some fiber in it, but still just moving away from all of the refined things in the pantry that we all know are bad, the center aisles of the grocery store. And that's really what I did. So do I have sugar once in a while? Sure, but pretty rarely. Do I have carbs once in a while? Not very often, unless they're complex, like a sweet potato or brown rice or something of the sort. Do I have alcohol once in a while? Yep, when I travel, it's when I drink. If I don't travel, I'm literally not having a drop at home. I just don't, because I feel better. And then I just focus on 100 grams of protein a day. So that was my food transition.
There's so many things in there. I love that you said I'm gonna pick out two, and then I know he has got a couple. I hear his brain going. The first is someone's just like, wait, hold the bus. Popcorn is not okay to eat. For you, was it an overconsumption of popcorn, or was it that popcorn led to more snacking of other things?
It was to the point, I mean, I would say this from the time I built my first entrepreneurial business in 1992 and on, my release was eating like a bowl of popcorn, and I'm not exaggerating when I say like this big, like the biggest bowl you can think of, the biggest mixing bowl there is. I would pop that like 2 or 3 popped air pop popcorn with a whole stick of butter and Parmesan cheese. And I would sit and eat that and watch a movie. That was my stress release. So I'm thinking to myself, like, something's not going to be right with my intestines pretty soon. This is not good to have that much popcorn. And so I honestly just stopped eating it for a while because I couldn't control myself, honestly. I love it. I will eat it until it's not in front of me anymore. So I stopped for about 6 straight months. Now I have maybe this much if I'm going to eat some. Like it's a snack, but it's not anything past that.
I love that so much. And I love also too how you tiered your approach. It wasn't just like I got to overhaul everything and we're overwhelmed by it. It was very structured in that, okay, first protein, then we're going to do, the alcohol sugar thing. Like later we're going to manage the carbs and really walk through that process. There was something else I wanted to ask, but it just slipped out of my head. I think what I want to ask about the alcohol though, I think we are at a time where people are either like, I'm a drinker or I'm not. This was it actually. But I love how you said, I just don't feel well. And the reason I love that is we were actually out with friends. We were sitting around a table. It was at 8, 9 adults, and everyone got a drink but me. And the mom next to me is like, come on, have a drink. And I was like, whoa, I've not been around an alcohol pusher in quite some time. Like, this is kind of an interesting experience. I was like, I'm good. I'm good. Like I could cheers with water. Like I'm not embarrassed by it. We're all good here. And again, like repeatedly, it's funny. Then the waiter came over and he was like, "We have an extra Stella. I'm gonna just set it here." She's like,
What?
like it's for you. And I was like, I'm really good, like totally good. And finally, I just said, I was like, I just feel better without it. Can you just tell the listener what you mean by a statement like that and how that helps you in social settings?
Yeah, so social settings, it's super interesting. If I'm gonna go out, I will do sparkling water with a lime and a lemon and ice because I still feel like I'm having a cocktail, right? So people don't, it doesn't get weird for them. I've never been in the position where someone's peer pressuring me to drink. Now that does happen though. Same thing. Are you sure you don't want to drink? I'm like, no, I'm actually all stocked up. I don't need anything. I'm good. So the other thing I will say, here's a little trick. If I'm going to drink and I'm out with people and I feel like I want to, or I'm traveling or what have you, I will do a packet of electrolytes with a little bit of like agave tequila or vodka where it's low sugar, it's the healthier choice if I'm going to. And I probably just put a little bit. It's only so that I feel like I'm one of the people, but it's really the peer pressure more than anything. So for me, it's, as you're in your 50s, it takes 2-3 days to recover from a rough day. If you're going to sit by the pool and drink all day, you're going to recover for 2 or 3 days. And I, quite frankly, am trying to grow a business and I don't want to have the downtime. So I just don't. And so for me, it's just more important. And I also know that I've just done a lot of research over time. And this is something you guys don't even know, but I'll just throw it out there because it's one of the reasons why I've tried to tailor back on alcohol is that I also have the Alzheimer's gene. And I know that the more that you drink, it just gives you a better chance of having Alzheimer's at some point. And that's just not the route I want to go. Again, I'm living till I'm 130. That's my goal in life. So
No, I love that you brought that up. I do think that it's a big thing that we don't think about long term. It's just like have a drink, have a drink. And it's so short-sighted for a lot of people. How did you discover that you have the Alzheimer's gene?
It was a random blood test actually from a natural practitioner, and she just did a blood panel, and she said, "Oh, everything looks great, except I have one bad thing to tell you." So it's called the ApoE gene. So if you've never been tested before, you can go and just have a blood panel done for the ApoE gene. It's APO-E, so ApoE gene. And there's a 1-1, 2-1, 3-1, and a 4-1, I think it is. And I have the 3, which is probable but not definite, where the 4 gene is definite. So it doesn't mean that I can't reverse it. And so I just know alcohol consumption, certainly doesn't help. But I have it once in a while. I do when I travel with all of our friends, then we'll have some fun. But outside of that, I really don't. I do happy juice from Amari, which is crazy. It's one of the things I love. It curbs my craving, and it makes me feel like I'm still having a cocktail.
Best mocktail out there.
Ever.
A couple of things. I mean, number one, I love the practicality of the approach that you've taken. And, what a great doctor, right? I mean, to actually come back and say, I need you to break up with food, but also it's the understanding that the doctor wasn't telling you not to eat. It is about breaking those food addictions, those things like the big bowl of popcorn or whatever it is for you out there, the ice cream, the wind down food, right? It's the end of the night. I just need something to chill with while I watch Netflix. And the recognition that we're not saying take food off the table. We're saying is take off the addictive foods. And especially with, I mean, you mentioning, having the ApoE gene, there is nothing that could serve you better than eating low carbohydrate.
Absolutely.
Eliminating the carbohydrates, which is what you've done. Yeah. So, I mean, that in turn, along with the alcohol, are two major things that are now in your favor and dramatically reduce the chance that you would get Alzheimer's, because as we know, Alzheimer's is also type 3 diabetes, or type 3 diabetes is Alzheimer's. So that's incredible. So talk then a little bit more. You stuck to the recommendation of first just making sure you eat protein first.
Yep.
Number 2, getting in at least 100 grams and maybe as much as your body weight in grams of protein. What has that been like, and what is the difference between that and what you were doing previously?
Yeah, it's a great question. So previously I was doing a lot of stuff, right? So he was doing eggs and cheese and not as much dairy, because I really believe that dairy wasn't good for me, although I've never had a lactose intolerance. So my body does handle dairy just fine. I didn't like ice cream. Cottage cheese is okay. I don't like Greek yogurt. I mean, there's some things, right? I had some blockages with protein in my head. In my brain, I kept telling myself, I'm going to fill up my arteries with cholesterol if I eat too much meat. So I'm not supposed to eat red meat, all the things, again, that we've been told. But I kept watching a friend of ours, a mutual friend, Beck, who was trying out carnivore because of your podcast and your coaching. And I was like, Beck, you cannot eat that much bacon. Like, this is not going to be good to eat bacon and eggs like this every day. And I was really concerned about her, but she got her blood work done. And I was like, no way. Are you kidding me right now? So I'll just give you a little story on the side to this, because my husband and I have been sort of going through this process together, but I don't think he'd care if I said he was a junk food freak. He loves like Sour Patch Kids and candy. If I sit down and have popcorn, he's having a glass of candy. That's his jam. So just recently, he's made this switch with me too, to more of a protein related diet. He's still eating some sugar, but not near what he was. He's also not drinking the amount of alcohol he was before. And his cholesterol, which I got his permission to say, was up at 267. So in my opinion, that's pretty danger zone, because 199 is where the high cutoff is for cholesterol, for normal range, which both of us were above. And it's been 6 months eating more protein, little less sugar for him. You guys, he went down to 207, 267 to 207. You're not even going to do that with a statin. It's not going to happen that fast. So radical transformation that way. So we just started making ribeyes a priority, and and so now I'm like addicted to ribeyes. I could eat them all day long. And my husband's calling me the most expensive date out there. He's like, really? I'm like, I know, but I just crave ribeyes. I don't know how to explain it. So, I mean, I just slowly transition. I do little lamb chops and, we'll do pork chops once in a while and, all the things, eggs, tons of eggs. Yeah, cheese.
Isn't it just so amazing though, when you give your body what it needs, everything that we think we want begins to dissipate, whether it be the Sour Patch Kids. For me, it was animal crackers and ice cream. Like that was my jam. For you, popcorn, even alcohol. I mean, it is such a wild thing to put your body into a better place of homeostasis with the protein we need and the exercise. You combine those two things, and all of a sudden it's like, I don't need all those false foods to give me a false sense of happiness and hunger satisfaction, because they actually don't do either.
Yes.
What's been the biggest change you've noticed in mood, sleep, mental clarity? Like what else have you seen?
Well, mental clarity for sure. And that part of that is probably no alcohol and then the no sugar piece of it. And then I think so I would say two things. It's probably been for mood, it's definitely the sugar piece and the alcohol piece. I think that in itself is just stabilization. And then for me, sleep was a big thing that I was having issues with. And because I'm hyper and driven and, like running fight or flight most of the time, even though you're not supposed to, but I do, I can't shut my brain off at night. It's so hard. And so for me, getting enough protein in allowed me to sleep better. So my blood sugar wasn't all over the place in the middle of the night. So I just make sure like 2 hours before I go to bed, I make sure I have protein and not carbs before I go to bed. So, and I just feel 1,000 times better. I don't know, just mental clarity, mood, sleep, all of it. And you need sleep to recover. So plus I'm working out, which we can talk about, but going to the gym too for muscle recovery and the whole 9 yards. I just needed to treat my body better, and all of those things worked together.
Let's talk about the working out, that this is now something you've incorporated about a year ago. And then I really want you to talk about the passion that's driven you to go into becoming a hormone specialist, because I think that is just fascinating. So workout first, what changed? What are you doing? I know you're working with a trainer. Like, what has this transformation been over the last year?
I think, gosh, I bet it was about maybe 15 months ago, you and I had a conversation randomly through text, and you're like, girl, you can do our online workouts. And I'm like, I'll never do it. I just know myself. I'm never going to do it. I hate working out. Like, this is not going to work for me. So I just happened to be driving by our local gym, and one of the guys who's in the company that I'm in, who's in the corporate staff, happens to work out there. They mentioned it. His wife works out there. And I was like, I should just swing in and see. Don't ask me what possessed me. I swear some higher power for sure possessed me to pull into the parking lot. I got myself out of the car and went in. The first girl I talked to happened to be, she's probably like, she could be my daughter. She's like 20 something, 22 or 23, Sydney. She's amazing. And she happens to lead all the personal trainers there. So she was really good about, working with me and talking to me. She's like, girl, you can totally do this. Let's just start you out on 1 day a week at 30 minutes. And then she said, I also teach a HIIT class on Thursday nights. And there's a yoga class on the weekend I want you to do. And I was like, okay, I can't get past 30 minutes. Let me just get this in my head first. You'll tell me what to do. And she's like, yeah, I'll coach you through everything. It's going to be great. So I started that way. It was $40 a training session. So it didn't break the bank. For those of you who are maybe thinking, gosh, I cannot do another 40, then take Corey, Beth, and Mike's stuff online. If you can do that, do a YouTube video, do something. But I just started that 30 minutes, and she just made it fun. She chatted with me the whole time. She's a great trainer. She would check in with me on my off days and say, how's your food going? She knew my goals. And so she was really good. And then I would take the HIIT class for a while, and I did yoga, which I thought for sure I would hate. I knew I was never going to become a yogi, and I've officially fallen in love with yoga and hot yoga specifically. Yeah. And so then we started doing in-body scans at the gym. And so as soon as I started to lose a little bit of weight and a little bit of fat, I got motivated, right? If we don't see any results, it's so hard to get motivated. But I would do a scan on the first of every single month, provided I hadn't traveled right before that. Again, I could bring it up and show you the line just is a complete drop off. It just starts back, way high and just drops off down to where I am right now. So every month I would see progress, 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 until I got to one spot where she said, you crossed over and you lost too much muscle. Now you're burning muscle and not fat. So let's get you out of the HIIT classes and only into strength training. So about halfway through, I made the change to 100% strength training. And then if I get to it, I get to yoga on the weekends. I haven't been as good because I've been traveling a ton. But right now I bumped up my personal training to 2 to 3 30-minute sessions a week. And ideally, I think 3 30-minute sessions would be perfect for me. So, and it's been fun. I've actually fallen in love with it. I look forward to it. I mean, I a lot of times will shower, get ready, do something, and then put my gym clothes on, go to the gym with full makeup on, come back, do another meeting. And it's what's happening today. I'm doing podcasts, going to lunch with some corporate friends, and then literally going to the gym right after. So, the trainer just keeps you accountable. So if you can do it, if you can afford it, I would highly recommend it. Even one day a week, 1.5 hour session, just to get you to start to learn. For me, I don't ever want to know what to have to do. I will probably always have a trainer because I don't want to have to know how to put together a routine. I just want you to tell me what to do and boss me around and I'll do it. So
certainly individuals like you that keep us in business. So thank you very much.
yes.
Very appreciative. It's funny too, because I had somebody who I was training this morning who I also only see him once a week. And he does train on his own outside the gym, but he had asked me, he goes, what do you really think is the ideal schedule for working out? And of course that's going to vary, but I said, listen, I always fall back to 3 30-minute workouts a week. And he was laying out his schedule, which is he trains with me on Wednesday, but then Friday has to do his workout, and then Saturday, Sunday he's got to do something, and then actually he's back to working out on his own on Monday as well. And he's like, so you really don't think you need to do more than that? I'm like, you absolutely do not. I said, listen, I'll be the first to tell you, if you enjoy doing all the extra activity and you need it for your mental health, I'll be the first to tell you, don't stop doing it.
Yeah.
But as far as producing greater results, you're not going to get greater results from doing more. And I love that your trainer recognized right away that there can come a point where your exercise can actually become an impediment to your progress.
Yeah.
And seeing that overdoing the cardio or the classes or whatever it is can put your body in this state where you are suppressing it, you're making it harder for your body to recover, and you are not going to progress beyond the point that you're at. And I gotta say, like, totally kudos to your trainer. I mean, that is wonderful to hear, because you don't hear that often.
It's true. It's true.
You often hear, like, keep doing more. Sara, you need to add this, you need to add that. But the fact that she recognized, no, in order for us to progress, we have to take away. That's somebody who understands that exercise can be a negative stress on your body.
Yeah.
And I mean, you've already experienced what all the negative stress can do to one's body. So the fact that you're in this place right now, doing something that's practical, reasonable, and it sounds like something you're going to be doing for the rest of your life, I mean, that's a great place to be.
Yeah, I would tell you guys right now, if Pure Physique was in my neighborhood, I would be at your gym, just so you know, because you guys are really the first people that inspired me to take action and do something totally different. And when I kept listening to you guys talk about, you really only need 3 30-minute sessions a week. And it was, again, you guys are so mind-blowing in the sense that, you move to the carnivore diet, you're talking about something that's different than what most trainers are talking about. And I literally did send your podcast multiple times to my trainer. I'm like, you've got to listen to Corey, Beth, and Mike's podcast today. So her and I have been on this amazing journey together through you guys, which you didn't even know that you were having an impact out here in Utah as much as you are. But yeah, it's been a pretty incredible journey. And I would really highly recommend, I don't know what kind of body scan you guys recommend, but I would say an in-body scan or a DEXA body scan. If you can do one or both of those to measure your bone density and your muscle mass and just stay on it, even if you're not necessarily seeing weight, you're going to see composition changes. And isn't that what we all really want anyway? We want to look good in our skin. So
that's everything, right? Like that keeps us from the skinny fat and actually looking like, oh, you don't need to look like a steroided out bodybuilder woman. Like we just want to look like, oh, Sara works out. Like she looks very fit, Like I want people, if you're listening to this podcast, you have to get over to the YouTube channel. It's Pure Physique, that fitness couple. You got to look at this absolute gorgeous beauty. Like there's no way you're going to believe she's over 31 years old because that's how she feels. But it's amazing. And I just have to throw in before we go into work and passion, but the fact that you went from a size 10 to now currently, I'm going to let you say it because it's such an impressive shift and change. What size are you right now?
00, girl. What?
Wow.
That is so. I have to tell you guys, I went shopping the other day because of course, over this transition, this is the most dumb problem to have. Anybody out there is going to go, I'm going to shoot arrows at you right now. But I constantly have to get rid of my clothes and buy new clothes. And I'm like, I'm getting so frustrated because I have to buy new clothes all the time. And I'm like, okay, I mean, gratitude. I'm thinking gratitude, people. But when I went to the store, I literally sat in the dressing room and the tears ran down my eyes. I took a picture of the pant size because I thought, never in a million years since I was probably in 10th grade as a cheerleader did I think I would ever be in a size 00, nor was it a goal, by the way. That was not my goal. It just happened because I was doing all the right things. And today when I was putting these jeans on for the first time and they're a 00, I'm like, dang, this feels so good. It's just fire motivating to continue to do what you're doing. And this is like right here, I'm working on this little curve in my arm right here. And so my trainer said yesterday, she said like, girl, I see your muscles. And I'm like, what? Amazing. I'm coming back tomorrow. You know, it's just the little encouragement you need. But again, if you're sitting out there thinking, I just do not feel good in my skin, just start with your food, get some fitness in. And then I added, by the way, I did also add supplements and bioidentical hormones, which is where that hormone piece comes into place.
Well, I love that so much. And I honestly like, I love someone like you, Sara, that takes something that could have been dark or discouraging and says, no, I'm going to use this as not like something that's going to hold me back, but rather something that's going to spring me forward. And the fact that you now are in this space, you're a mental wellness advocate, you're a hormone specialist, you're helping thousands of women and men. You've built an amazing and impressive team. Tell us about this passion. Tell us about your business.
Before you do, though, I just need to pause right here just to recognize something that you said, which is I was not trying to get to a 00.
That's
It
good.
just happened. And why did it happen? Because you just kept doing the things,
Yeah.
right? And it's all about falling in love with the process.
Yeah.
That I think if there's a message for somebody to take away from that, I mean, incredible transformation, it had nothing to do with setting a goal to achieve. It had everything to do with falling in love with the process.
That's good.
Falling in love with your workouts, falling in love with the way that you're eating, falling in love with the way how the things that you've eliminated and how that's made you feel. So now we can move on to
No, I know. I do. I love that. And gosh, I wish I had known. I would have sent you all my jeans from bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't find anybody to fit into my 00. So I
Oh,
gave them away.
I love you. I love it. We can be swapping clothes.
Yes. It's amazing. And again, at 51, like again, for the women that are like, oh, it's menopause, oh, it's normal, you're supposed to gain weight, like just look at Sara. Like, I don't want to hear it. Like, just look at Sara. I think it's amazing.
And what's also incredible, and this is also why I hope that people do go to the YouTube channel. It's like some people will have in their mind like 00, that's too small. That's got to be seen. You do not look skinny.
Like
you do
emaciated.
not
People
look
think emaciated,
skinny.
right?
Like you
Thank
look
you.
totally
Healthy.
fit and toned and like just in the type of shape that a human
It
should be in.
Yeah.
Okay, wait, one more pause before we continue into this amazing business you built. And for somebody that's listening right now, and maybe you're triggered by like 0, 00, like, you know, that's not what this is about, first of all. And also, isn't it amazing how people will be like, oh my gosh, you got so skinny, but no one ever says, oh my gosh, you got so fat. You know, and not that we're looking for someone to call out our body shape and size, but I think that there can be such an appreciation for wherever people are in their body shape and size. And like you said, be more focused on the body composition. Like, oh my gosh, you're building muscle, you're building strength, you're getting healthier. Like all those other comments can just be, you know, thrown in a closet because they have no place at all.
Yeah, you know, I have I will call her a friend because I listen to her podcast all the time, but Carl Lynn from Just Ingredients has an amazing podcast and she interviewed a guest on obesity just recently. And I learned a lot of really cool things about obesity being, you know, it's not, people don't want to be heavy. They are obese because it's a disease and this disease can be reversed. And in the end, it's about body composition and getting to a place where you feel good about yourself. But I really did not chase this with the ideal, like, oh my gosh, I have to look amazing in my clothes. Even though it bothered me, I saw my blood work. And that is where it started because I want to live, you guys. I started late with kids. I started 33 and 36 when I had babies. And I knew I was going to be an older mom. And so the reality is I want to be around for great grandkids, not just grandkids. So in order to do that and to have functional behavior in life, to be able to hike or bike or whatever, you've got to do something different, because if at 50, you're going through all these hormonal phases, you're gaining weight, you're gaining inflammation, your cholesterol's up, your blood pressure's up, your thyroid's out of whack, you are going to hit that average age of the American that passes away. But you don't have to. You can totally live that age. I was telling my mom this morning, what if you could gain 10 extra years on your life? What would that look like for you? So to me, I just kept thinking to myself, what if this could change everything? And it really, truly has.
That's amazing. Well, with that said, what if this could change everything? Tell us about your business, what you're doing, and how you're helping people.
Yeah, so about 3 years ago, I ran into this product. I was sort of in my own mental health crisis. So as you know, with all of this stuff comes an increase in your mental wellness. Just across the board, I feel really good. I feel cognitively on fire, in passion mode, which I wasn't feeling at the end of my corporate career. I was pretty drained and dead and burned out, and kind of was looking for something. And without being too loud in my house, my kids are in the house here, but my daughter was also going through severe OCD post-COVID, and my son tried to commit suicide. And so in that, we were dealing, and it was all with my cyst. They were watching all this stuff happen. I didn't know, I wasn't doctoring, but I was looking pregnant. They're scared. COVID kind of made us all scared. And I just knew, I might look like I have it all together, but we were totally falling apart at the seams, behind the scenes. And so I just was like, I've got to do something different, but I don't know. Is it medication? I love doctors when you need them, but I don't want to take medication if it's covering up a root cause that we haven't discovered. So I'm way about the root cause. And a friend said, girl, you are a hot mess. Like, you need something for mental wellness. And so honestly, I tried Happy Juice, and I tried a couple of other products, and I started to see a shift in myself. I had my kids take the supplements, and they promised me they did not want to go to a counselor. Neither one of them wanted therapy. They didn't want to be on a medication. And I'm like, okay, you have to take these supplements. If you will take them and we see a difference, then you don't have to do any of that. And sure enough, we saw a difference. So I started right there thinking, mental wellness is a thing, friends. Like, I have tons of friends that are on anti-anxiety, depression medication. So we have some of the highest rates of suicide in Utah, right where I live, for teens. In fact, my son's first funeral this year that he went to, the first one ever, was a friend of his who was 17 years old who committed suicide. So I'm thinking to myself, it makes me shake thinking about it, because it's so sad what's happening to our kids. And I'm thinking, what if I could do something about that? What if this product really could make a difference? And I'm skeptical, like the most skeptical person, even being in this industry for 32 years, I'm the most skeptical. But I started, and we went from, one team member, and in a short amount of time, we had 10,000, and then it was 50,000, and then we hit 100,000, or we're about to hit 100,000 right now, team members. So in less than 3 years, or right about the 3-year mark, we'll cross over to 100,000 people that we've helped with mental wellness supplements, and then just coaching in general. And as I've been going through that this last year with all of my hormonal changes, that's become a passion for me, because hormones equal mental wellness or mental illness, I swear. You're either crazy or you're balanced, and there's not in between when you're in this middle stage of life. So I just feel like I want to pour on the power over the next year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and help people that are coming into about 38 years old, man or female, and all the way through 60, really trying to figure out how to balance your hormones, get back into shape, start eating a little better, and really just transform your life so you can live longer for your great grandkids. That's really my passion.
I think that that's so beautiful. And I just want to point out the beautiful gift of curiosity that you have from watching the people in the boardroom, like, what are they talking about? And how can I be a part of that, to watching the suicide crisis in your backyard? How can I have an impact there? I believe it's people like you that make great impact in this world without even meaning to. It's just a curiosity. And I just want to honor you for taking the action to actually go after those visions and dreams that I believe God has planted inside of you, Sara, to live out for the benefit of others.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's been an awesome journey for sure. For sure. And I would throw out there, just as one little final thing to you guys, is if you, again, going back to your hormone panel, if you haven't had that done by the time you're 38-ish, go have at least one done. And then once you're into your 40s, have them done every year. And once you get into perimenopause, or men for andropause, right? You start doing them every 6 months, and you can balance those out with bioidentical hormones. You don't have to be taking a lot of synthetic stuff, but you can be taking things like, I take progesterone. I do testosterone injections twice a week. And I do those not because I want to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? That's not my goal. I want to look fit. But if you don't have any testosterone, your body cannot function as a female or a male. So things like that. I haven't had to take estrogen because I'm using a supplement called Women's Ignite, or Ignite for Her. And that seems to balance out my estrogen. So I'm just managing supplementation around what my blood work says. But the core of it all was really the story that your blood work tells. And if you can get a good functional medicine doctor paired with a great trainer or a great gym, I promise you it will take care of everything. It really will.
Love
and
that.
you gotta have some willingness. You gotta have some willingness.
And I think that's like a mic drop moment right there for me.
I got nothing else.
That is everything. I mean, I think you nailed it. And I just love again, the focus on the simple things that we could be doing, right? And you are doing them, and you're a testament to just being consistent with them, even accidentally getting into just amazing shape by doing these things consistently.
You accidentally dropped, I don't know, 6 sizes accidentally?
I don't know. Something like that.
It's great. It's great.
It's amazing.
I mean, this has been incredible. I've really enjoyed this conversation. And, as we started, as we said, like, you are definitely a light, and we just love all that you brought today to our listeners, to us. I mean, it's really inspiring, and we love to continue watching your story unfold.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for the influence you guys have had. I know that sometimes you don't always get all the appreciation that you deserve, but you're impacting so many people by this podcast. And because I'm a podcast junkie, I swear to you, it's one of my favorites on the list. So thank you for everything you sow into seeds everywhere around the world. When your gyms aren't everywhere, but your gyms are in what states right now?
Right now we're in New York, Connecticut, and we're currently opening in South Carolina.
I'm feeling the need for Utah. Just saying.
I mean, if you know someone that wants to open a franchise, it's a great business model to run, really plug and play.
I was going to say, it sounds like you got a trainer who might be a perfect fit. So
I love it. Thank you guys so much.
No, thank you. Well, tell people where they can find you. We'd love for them to follow you. We'll also post those in our notes as well.
Awesome. Yes, I'm on all your normal social channels, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, at Be Well with Sara B. So B as in just the letter B and then the word well. So Be Well with Sara B. Or you can find me on my website at the Be Well Co. So you can look that up as well.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Have a blessed day, and thanks for being with us today.
Thanks,
Thank you
Sara.
so much, you guys. Have a good one.